Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 origin continent based on novel. So let's start. Galaxy Divine Country, capital. Come, 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 pour the wine. Gooey Shu, why is the wine gone? Black Fire Demon Lord shouted. I earned great merit last time. It was really hard to exchange for 3 jars of fine wine. You guys drank an entire jar in no time. Emperor Gooey Shu was reluctant. These are fine wines crafted from some rare treasures in the dream domain. Don't be stingy, quickly bring it out. Wuxin God King urged from the side. Cloud Sky God King watched the scene with a smile. The wine is good. Great Freedom Sovereign also sighed contentedly. All right, at worst, we'll drink it all today. Emperor Gooey Shu could only reluctantly take out another jar of fine wine, and Wuxin God King was the first to grab it and began pouring the wine. The members of the Reincarnation Tower used to keep a low profile in their actions, but ever since the Galaxy Divine Country was established, they kept coming to join. Especially after Luo Feng's identity was officially revealed recently, even the Black Fire Demon Lord came forward willingly. Having always hidden in the dark, who doesn't wish to live openly and freely? In the capital of the Galaxy Divine Country, even if given 10 guts, those emperors and monarchs wouldn't dare to act recklessly. Tell me, how did Wind City have such sharp insight, inviting the ruler to join our Reincarnation Tower when he was still in the primal chaos realm? Black Fire Demon Lord sighed. The ruler's rise is rapid, once only in the primal chaos realm, now he's one of the pinnacle existences in the land of origin. Wuxin God King also sighed, now not daring to call him by name, but respectfully calling him ruler. With such a significant gap in status, one naturally feels reverent. The ruler avenged me. Di Wu and Di Shi are both dead, and even Di Yang escaped outside the land of origin, not able to live long. Emperor Gooey Shu drank his wine. I never dreamed I could kill an emperor. The days when the 2 imperial clans ruled everything are over. Wuxin God King also felt relieved. The 2 imperial clans now act more cautiously and less tyrannically. The idle god kings on the land of origin feel much better. Emperor Yuan, White Demon, Lan Duo, Di Wu, Di Shi, a total of 5 emperors and monarchs have died successively, having a profound impact on the land of origin. At least the 2 major imperial clans are somewhat intimidated, acting more carefully. Back then, Luo he killed me, and it took him 2 or 3 breaths. I still had time to use a reincarnation secret technique. Emperor Yuan said in a restaurant, but the emperors and monarchs afterward, it said they didn't even have time to reincarnate. See a novel, F-tilde. IA.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. I, labeled as the greatest sinner of the land of origin, instead benefited. Emperor Yuan chuckled. Oh well. Though I can't return to the imperial clan and can't cultivate the ultimate realm life form, thought Emperor Yuan, but I have also shed many causal ties, allowing me to dedicate myself more deeply to cultivation. Perhaps I might comprehend the great Tao. Emperor Yuan, once wantonly sinful, was the most reckless among the many emperors and monarchs, but with Luo Feng's rise, he dared no longer. Di Wu and Di Shi are dead, and Di Yang has no reason to live, thought Emperor Yuan, unless he escaped. Di Yang is always so slippery. Emperor Yuan shook his head slightly. Having spent long years with Di Yang, he somewhat looked down on Di Yang, living long, with many resources, but his realm remained mediocre. But one must admit one thing, Di Yang's instincts are very keen. His tactics are also impressive. Among the emperors of Flame Wind Ancient Country, Di Yang's strength isn't considered strong, but he is the only one who can unite other emperors, and the resources and benefits he gains are more than those like Di Fu and Emperor Ming. Even now, with Di Wu and Di Shi dead, Di Yang still survives. In a common large city, an ordinary eternal true god was browsing the intelligence of the flame-wind pavilion. Luo He is the galaxy ruler. This eternal true god couldn't believe it. The first time I noticed him, he was just an eternal true god. That eternal true god once within Huyang City, now stands shoulder to shoulder with the ancestors of the two countries. Fortunately, I reincarnated fast enough. Marquis Liu Yin felt a bit lucky. He didn't even rush to break through, remaining at the eternal true god stage after reincarnation. With his realm, even as an eternal true god in a common large city, no one could rival him. I must be careful. Once I reach the primal chaos realm, there are so few in the primal chaos realm on the land of origin, it's easy to catch the galaxy ruler's attention. Eternal true gods, there are countless on the land of origin. It's much safer. Marquis Liu Yin feared that Luo He. His rise was too terrifying. He didn't wish to be observed by the galaxy ruler. He feared accidentally showing his tracks somewhere. If suspected, with the means of the current galaxy ruler, he might forcibly read his memory. The best method is to keep the galaxy ruler from paying attention to him. I was quite impressive too, to provoke the galaxy ruler during his weaker days, thought Marquis Liu Yin, and then stopped dwelling on it, continuing to enjoy his life as an eternal true god in this common large city. In my homeland, the illustrious ancestral god of the galaxy now stands alongside the ancestors of the two nations on the land of origin. East Emperor gleaned from the intelligence, also somewhat emotional. I, the so-called East Emperor ancestor, still received a legacy and resources from Luo Feng. Only then could I make the crucial step to reaching the eternal true god level. Lacking resources, becoming an eternal true god was exceedingly difficult. For many from the human clan, who braved the reincarnation tower to arrive at the land of origin, even with the most supreme resources supporting them, the vast majority only remained at the true god of void space level. According to Luo Feng, Purple Moon should have died long ago. East Emperor also felt emotional. He believed it too, considering the ancestral god of the galaxy's judgment of causality, confirming Purple Moon's death meant true death. In a flash, 3 epochs had passed. The 9 realms of extinction are too extreme, too insane. However, they do assist in the comprehension of the great Tao of destruction origin. Luo Feng stayed sane during his contemplation. His accumulation on the destruction path was already profound, having comprehended multiple ultimate realm secret techniques, and he even had an avatar from the destruction demon clan. Moreover, he had merged the great Tao of life and death, which easily resolved some dangerous situations during the 9 realms of extinction training regime. Although I dislike such madness, it has made me understand what the destruction path at the primordial level is like. As a perfection level inheritance, there were absolutely no explanations regarding the comprehension of many great Taos. It was assumed that such fundamental comprehension would be easily understood. The first realm, Peeping Realm, is about probing the imprinted memories of great Tao of destruction in the source world. These imprinted memories are actually the most intense memories of destruction throughout the entire protracted history of the source world. There are scenes of great destructions of the source world itself, again and again scenarios of the sector beasts causing world destruction, again and again scenarios of cultivators actively destroying worlds, and even higher-level destruction scenes recorded within the primordial space of the source world. Sir the Novelia.ne*T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The depth of these imprinted memories varied. The deeper the memory, the more terrifying it was. Some memories of destruction even had strong contamination that could twist the spirit. Luo Feng, upon witnessing some higher-level destruction scenes, felt his soul tremble. The first realm begins with giving the cultivator a vague impression of the destruction path at the primordial level. The so-called peeping realm is about glimpsing the Tao at the primordial level. Luo Feng also understood how ambitious the creator was, clearly hoping that the descendants could leap out of the braided cage with the help of the 9 realms of extinction, a perfection-level inheritance, or at the very least, become a world-level primordial life. Of course, the outcome has been proven. Such a terrifying inheritance instead affected the descendants' paths of innovation. Hence, the infinite space now only retains the exchange for the first 5 realms. My strength is progressing slowly, and I'm lacking in resources. It's time to venture beyond the source world. Luo Feng looked outside. Even the primordial crystals, the ordinary supplementary items he regularly consumed, Luo Feng could no longer afford. Ever since his life form reached the strength of the early stage of a divine emperor, each epoch, he could consume 300 primordial crystals. Such an expense, how could he afford it? Lately, he had been cultivating without using any treasures, which indeed had reduced the efficiency a lot. With one step, Luo Feng left Huyang City and arrived at the palace of Emperor Chu in Chu capital. Inside the palace of Emperor Chu. Master. Luo Feng saw his master, Emperor Chu. Luo Feng. Emperor Chu looked at his disciple with a smile. Are you ready to set off? Yes. Luo Feng nodded. Out there beyond the source world, I can encounter the wisdom of powerhouses from countless worlds, clash with other strong beings. There are also more abundant resources, all of which will smooth my cultivation process significantly. Master, are you sure you don't want to go together? I'd rather not. Emperor Chu shook his head. Out in the source world, my strength would be at the bottom tier. Going out would only drag you down. I plan to cultivate until I'm close to extinction on the land of origin, and then go out and venture. Emperor Chu laughed heartily. Even if I die out there, it would not be in vain. Luo Feng didn't persuade him further. His own strength was merely at the early stage of a divine emperor, and even at the beginning of his journey, his weapon's secret treasures were inferior to many powerhouses from the outside worlds. At this time, he could not help his master with anything. You go ahead and make your mark. By then, your master might even need your protection. Emperor Chu said with a laugh. Yes. Luo Feng nodded. Then, I shall take my leave. Go, concentrate on your cultivation, and don't think too much, encouraged Emperor Chu. Luo Feng visited the primordial ancestor, primal chaos city lord, and Morosa. I'll venture beyond the source world. Of course, I still have an avatar that will continue to stay in the land of origin, Luo Feng said. It's just that my adventuring outside requires more focus. The avatar within the land of origin will generally be in closed-door cultivation. If important matters arise, you 3 can send messages to me. I will receive your messages. Others, during the closed-door period, I will ignore them, Luo Feng stated. Primordial ancestor, teachers. The Galaxy, Divine Country, and Blade River sect will mainly rely on you, Luo Feng instructed. Morosa has a somewhat unruly nature. He still needs both of you to keep him in check. I'm very obedient, Morosa retorted with widened eyes. Don't worry, leave it to us, the primordial ancestor and primal chaos city lord nodded. Luo Feng looked at Morosa with a smile that was not quite a smile. Secluding himself from affairs, if it weren't for the primordial ancestor and the primal chaos city lord supervising, who knows what trouble Morosa could cause. I am entering seclusion. Luo Feng's avatar immediately turned around, walking deep into the cave mansion to the quiet room, entering the Star Tower. This was also the norm for the ancestors from both countries, and the East Extreme Domain ancestor, Emperor Qing, and the other 3. Most of the time, they were in seclusion. At certain times, they would leave seclusion to relax. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Wu. Wu. The figures of Luo Feng and Emperor Qing streaked across the sky, flying towards a secluded spot in the Tianji icefield, where there was a valley forged from ice. Within the ice valley, there was a dark and deep pool. This dark pool was the transfer passage of the land of origin. Luo He, Emperor Qing. Sitting cross-legged next to the shadowy pool was a figure, none other than Di Fu. Di Fu stood up at this moment, smiling and looking at the two. Di Fu. Luo Feng smiled and nodded. He had a favorable impression of Di Fu, as Di Fu had stood by his side openly and covertly many times when Di Yang tried to suppress him again and again. Di Fu, have you been staying here all this time? Emperor Qing had a guess about this kinsman's thoughts. There are numerous crises beyond the source world, so I also wish to venture with you both, said Di Fu. Emperor Qing frowned slightly. Di Fu's strength was too weak. Even if brought along, he would at best serve as an errand runner. If you want to follow, I have no objections, Emperor Qing said. After all, they shared blood ties, and a sense of camaraderie existed over the long years. He looked at Luo Feng, but I'll need to consult brother Luo He. Di Fu looked towards Luo Feng. Those many years he stood by Luo Feng's side openly and secretly were all for today. If brother Emperor Qing has no objections, then of course I have none, Luo Feng said with a smile. Di Fu's face showed happiness upon hearing this. Emperor Qing nodded thoughtfully and said, since we're taking Di Fu, bring Emperor Ming as well. Of all the emperors in our flame-wind ancient country royal family, only these two are worth nurturing. Emperor Ming's strength is also above mine. On the path of the primordial bloodline, he has already touched the threshold of becoming a divine emperor, said Di Fu too. If Emperor Ming is willing, then let's go together. Luo Feng had a good impression of Emperor Ming and raised no objections. Upon hearing Luo Feng's agreement, Emperor Qing then sent a message to Emperor Ming. Soon, a flash of light descended into the valley, and it was Emperor Ming. Brother Luo He and I discussed it. We've decided to take both you and Di Fu, said Emperor Qing. Thank you, brother Luo He. Emperor Ming was quite grateful. He might be aloof and independent, but he was also clear that his strength was ordinary beyond the source world. Back then, Emperor Ming gifted me the Calamity Beast diagram, which was greatly helpful to my cultivation. I have not yet thanked you, Luo Feng said with a smile and a nod. Di Fu felt very pleased on the side. At least he wasn't the only weak one, there was also Emperor Ming. Emperor Qing nodded, then let's set off now. An invisible force enveloped the four of them, and they flew into the shadowy deep pool at once. Emperor Qing had long had the imprint of the primordial space from the Nine Rivers sacred realm, and instantly locked onto the distant Nine Rivers sacred realm. Wu. The light within the shadowy deep pool fluctuated, and Emperor Qing, Luo Feng, Di Fu, Emperor Ming, the four of them had already been transported beyond the source world, heading straight for the Nine Rivers sacred realm. The volume ends. The storyline of the Land of Origin officially concludes. Beginning the Outside the Source World storyline. The world structure outside the source world, plot settings, character settings, etc., must again be meticulously prepared by Tomato. Moreover, the 2 sessions are currently underway, and Tomato is quite busy. This time, I will need to take a 3-day break. On the 19th, the next volume's content will resume updating. Lastly, thank you to the new Alliance Hierarch, Would Blossom _open for those with clothes for the reward. And thanks again to the Old Alliance leader Old K for the reward. As Luo Feng flew into the dark and deep pool, he felt intangible fluctuations sweep over him, which his physical body, at the early stage of Divine Emperor, easily resisted. Luo Feng also noticed that, beside him, Emperor Ming appeared calm, while Di Fu slightly furrowed his brows, seemingly struggling with great effort. Whoosh! Encased in a droplet of water, Luo Feng, Emperor Qing, Di Fu, and Emperor Ming were whisked away from the land of origin, this origin world, in an instant. This droplet of water was traversing through primordial space at an extremely high speed. Luo Feng had once observed the outside of the origin world with the eye of life and death, but the water droplet encasing them had flung the land of origin aside in the blink of an eye. My hometown, the land of origin. Luo Feng watched the colossal origin world shrink rapidly and then disappear from sight. He knew that he had left his homeland. When he first arrived at the land of origin, he thought of the primordial cosmos as his home. But now, outside of the origin world, the land of origin, this complete origin world, was his true home. The avatar that remained there would lose the protection of the supreme rules once he left. How fast? Luo Feng and the others watched ahead. In the distance, a colossal origin world approached rapidly. But with a whoosh, the droplet of water skimmed past this origin world. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. 10, 20, 50. One by one, origin worlds as vast as the land of origin disappeared from Luo Feng's view within 1 second, indicating the incredible speed of this water droplet's traversal. Is that an innate primordial life? Di Fu couldn't help speaking out. Luo Feng saw it too, a sinuous black serpent roaming within primordial space, seemingly gliding effortlessly in flight. Its body was so long, it far surpassed the entire land of origin. The land of origin, along with the surrounding universe ocean, made up the complete origin world. The length of this serpent's body was roughly 1/3 of the entire origin world. The sinuous serpent glanced at the fleeting droplet of water, which disappeared into the distant horizon in the blink of an eye due to its incredible speed. Traveling so quickly in primordial space. Is it a sector lord of an origin world skilled in flying escape? Or is it the transmission method used by one of those primordial lords? The sinuous serpent speculated. This vast territory is the domain of the cultivator camp. Among those capable of such rapid flight in primordial space, there are generally only these two possibilities. It seems my whereabouts have been exposed. Time to hunt again next time. The sinuous serpent moved leisurely, but vanished into thin air without a trace. Merely in a few breaths' time. A phantom descended in a region of space-time, condensing into a black-robed youth. This black-robed youth, standing there, commanded the vast space-time around him, making every trace within space-time and all past experiences utterly transparent under his observation. It's a serpent whelp from the world-level primordial life. The black-robed youth's eyes were icy, filled with a fierce killing intent. The infinite serpent clan is one of the most troublesome among the innate primordial life groups. They can appear anywhere within infinite primordial space at any time and disappear just as quickly. The black-robed youth muttered to himself, the infinite serpent clan is the boldest. They even dare to delve deep into the heartland of my cultivator camp's territory. I must find an opportunity to squeeze a few serpent whelps to death. Whoosh! Then he vanished without a trace. The novelfire.net website, on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Based on the size, that should be a world-level primordial life. As the droplet of water continued its ultra-high-speed traversal through the infinite primordial space, Emperor Qing spoke, fortunately, we are protected by the transmission droplet. It keeps out all contaminants. Otherwise, seeing a living world-level primordial life directly would probably kill you instantly, Di Fu. Among the four present, Di Fu possessed the weakest spiritual will, still at the ultimate realm of godly king stage. Luo Feng and Emperor Ming were somewhat curious. They both, separated by the water droplet, only caught a glimpse of a blurry sinuous serpent before it vanished in a flash, without feeling any danger. Flying escape through infinite primordial space, one occasionally sees some innate primordial life. However, ones as powerful as that are rare, said Emperor Qing, who had rich experience. We're approaching the 9 Rivers Sacred Realm now. After passing 125 origin worlds, this droplet of water finally arrived at its destination. The 9 Rivers Sacred Realm. Luo Feng, Emperor Ming, and Di Fu all observed this destination carefully. It was a massive elliptical world, slightly smaller in scale compared to the origin continent origin world. From viewing within the infinite primordial space, one could see 9 meandering rivers wrapping around this world like 9 chains. Each river vaguely had countless secret patterns flowing within, forming a massive formation, completely sealing off the entire world. Whoosh! This droplet of water, carrying Luo Feng and the others, flew into the 9 Rivers Sacred Realm. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. At the center of the 9 Rivers Sacred Realm, there was a majestic holy mountain. At the foot of the holy mountain, there was a dark and deep pool. A droplet of water fell into the dark and deep pool, and from it, Emperor Qing, Luo Feng, Emperor Ming, and Di Fu flew out. Luo Feng immediately spotted that more than 200 figures had gathered at the foot of the mountain. They were either huddled in small groups or alone, all patiently waiting. They must be from different cultivation systems, Luo Feng surmised, sensing a significant difference in their auras. A stalwart man sat quietly there, carrying a large bow on his back. An elder in robes and glasses looked over curiously. A giant cast from rock sat, as though deep in slumber. There are translucent creatures hiding in the crevices of mountains and rocks, carefully observing Luo Feng and the others. A woman's figure, seemingly merging into the void, is engulfed in flames. Ah, my body. Di Fu's complexion suddenly changes. Pieces of skin are peeling off his face as energy dissipates. Emperor Qing, Luo Feng, and Emperor Ming all look towards Di Fu. My body is collapsing, Di Fu says anxiously. Don't panic, Emperor Qing says from the side. Any complete great Tao is capable of traveling through all source worlds. However, the 9 Rivers Sacred Realm is not a source world, but a special cultivation realm created by Senior Yuan and others. The origin Tao of space, which is fundamental to your physical body's structure, is somewhat incompatible with the 9 Rivers Sacred Realm, causing instability in your physical body. You just need to discard the incompatible parts and rebuild your physical body system. Your strength might diminish, but at least it won't collapse. Emperor Qing, with his experience, reminds him. Di Fu nods and begins to rebuild his physical body. That's how the enlightened are. Their entire physical body is constructed from the ground up by themselves, which naturally means they can modify it as well. Brother Luo He, Emperor Qing says with surprise as he looks towards Luo Feng. Emperor Ming cultivates the primordial bloodline, which is relatively compatible with both the primordial space and many worlds. However, Luo He, you're not cultivating the primordial bloodline, are you? Luo Feng just smiles. The various avatars that is cultivated are completely transformed primordial bloodline creatures, so it was quite easy for him to adapt upon arriving in the 9 Rivers Sacred Realm. I haven't cultivated the primordial bloodline, but coming to the 9 Rivers Sacred Realm hasn't affected my strength, says Luo Feng. Emperor Qing is curious, but doesn't press further. A physical body constructed purely from the mysteries of the Great Tao is collapsing upon arriving in a new world, Luo Feng observes Di Fu, and Emperor Qing speaks from the side. For the enlightened, traveling to different worlds and adapting to them is also a form of cultivation. Luo Feng listens and ponders. Suddenly, a voice bellows from behind, from the holy mountain, newly arrived cultivators. A flying boat arrives each epoch, and will take you to one of the cities in the 9 Rivers Sacred Realm. Luo Feng and Emperor Ming turn to look at the towering holy mountain, with a path leading to its summit. That was the holy mountain speaking, says Emperor Qing. The holy mountain maintains 2 transportation gateways. 2 transportation gateways? Luo Feng asks, puzzled. This gateway, at the foot of the mountain, allows return to the land of origin. Emperor Qing points to the path, and if you walk along that path, only those with the strength of at least late-stage divine emperor can reach the summit. At the top, there is a deep pool that can be used to transport you to the dark sacred realm. The ancestors of the 2 realms reside in the dark sacred realm. Luo Feng and Emperor Ming understand, while Di Fu continues to focus on improving his physical body. Wait for me. Emperor Qing speaks and walks toward the more than 200 figures. You should be aware of the rules in the 9 rivers sacred realm. Emperor Qing's aura spreads invisibly, encompassing heaven and earth, and shrouds the over 200 cultivators. Emperor Qing, after all, has reached the early stage of divine emperor in the land of origin. Although he hasn't spent a long time in the 9 rivers sacred realm, he has accumulated quite a bit. Without the suppression of world rules, his aura is far more terrifying than that of Luo Feng. The more than 200 figures grow pale as they realize that even if they work together, they cannot match this formidable being. Emperor Qing smiles and says, "There are 35 cities in the 9 rivers sacred realm, and I plan to go to Yulon city. Those willing to join me can do so now. Each cultivator must pay a fee of 100 primordial crystals, or equivalent goods. This is the standard price." "I will," Yuan says. "I'm joining." One by one, figures stand up. Some are cultivators, who have been adventuring within the 9 rivers sacred realm, and are merely returning from their hometown. They are not confident enough to travel alone, and are waiting for the transport flying boat. If this divine Emperor Senior is leading the way, he must be confident. There is no difference between the 35 cities of the 9 rivers sacred realm. You newly arrived cultivators can completely join Yulon city. Who knows how much longer it would take to wait? Some cultivators are persuading others. Soon, 96 cultivators agree to follow, most of whom can pay the 100 primordial crystals. Those who can't offer equivalent goods instead. Made nearly 10,000 primordial crystals, Emperor Qing collects the benefits with a smile and looks towards Luo Feng, Emperor Ming, and Di Fu. In the 9 rivers sacred realm, primordial crystals are needed everywhere. Without them, you don't even have the qualifications to stay in the city for long. Perhaps this is also a way for Senior Yuan and the others to force us to fight to the death. With a wave of Emperor Qing's hand, a blue metallic flying boat appears, its surface marked with traces of wear, yet its presence is immensely terrifying, sending shivers through everyone present. Luo Feng also realizes that without the Star Tower and the Eye of Life and Death, he himself and Emperor Qing are probably not on par. Let's go. With just a thought from Emperor Qing, the other 96 cultivators are arranged in the aft cabins, while they 4 sit in the flying boat's front hall. Whoosh! The blue flying boat merges instantly into the void, flying at high speed towards Yulon city. The most dangerous places in the 9 rivers sacred realm are those 9 rivers. Emperor Qing stands in the forward hall of the flying boat, gazing at the distant exterior. Those 9 rivers seem like 9 chains, sealing the entire world. These rivers are also the energy hubs of the entire world, drawing immense primordial forces from the outside, gathered within the water. Therefore, within these 9 rivers, that's where the energy is most concentrated. These low-level primordial life forms live inside the 9 rivers to absorb enough energy, enabling them to survive for a long time, Emperor Qing explains. Luo Feng looks into the distance. Are there many low-level primordial life forms in the 9 rivers? Many, countless. Emperor Qing nods. No one knows just how many low-level primordial life forms Senior Yuan and others have caught and thrown into the 9 rivers. They are our main hunting targets in the 9 rivers sacred realm. Of course, those low-level primordial life forms are also hunting us. As the flying boat flies and journeys on, Emperor Qing also shares some common knowledge with Luo Feng and the others. This video will end here.